kailangan mangibabaw ang katotohanan. And that would be at the expense, essentially, of your brother's approval, the president's approval on how the arrest of former President Duterte was handled. Clearly, you do not believe that he had the power or that was the right manner to do so. Tama ba yun, ma'am?
Masalimuot yung tanong mo. Ano ba yung tanong? Ang nakikita ko lamang nung tinangay si Presidente Duterte at dinala sa ibang bansa, lahat tayo ay nayanig. Naiyak ako at katulad ng marami na bigla kung bakit tinangay ang isang Pilipino, matanda na, may sakit, dinala sa ibang bansa. Bakit? Binaliwala na ba yung ating husgado? Wala na bang kakwenta-kwenta lahat ng huwes sa Pilipinas? Wala na bang rule of law sa atin? Talaga bang failed state na tayo na kinakailangan sa ibang bansa? At talagang pinilit ko na magkaroon ng investigasyon dahil responsibilidad to. I'm the chairperson for foreign relations, and it was the first time that we encountered a case, really a case of first impressions to do with the ICC and the Interpol, and I felt obliged to look into it and find out the truth, if only to calm everyone's nerves, everyone's fears and anger that was demonstrated more than amply in the streets. So wala namang kinalaman sa aking kapatid. Ang nais kong malaman talagang ano ba nangyari at karapat-dapat ba? Doon naman tayo nagsimula ng investigasyon. At the very start, if you recall in October, when the filing for candidacies began, I already declared I'd be independent of the Alianza and of any other alliance. May masamang kutob ako I had this really bad feeling that horrible things would happen. But I didn't really think it would go this way, that it would actually be this bad. At ayoko yung bardagulan sa politika. Yun lang naisip ko I just turned up because it was Lawag, it's my son, okay lang. Pero hindi ko na sinisiputan lahat. At I basically relied on local friends to campaign. Yun lang. Pero yung investigasyon had to carry on.
Okay, so you brought it before the ombudsman, and the ombudsman acted quickly on your complaint. The ombudsman is asking the personalities to answer the allegations within the days that are required. I wanted to ask you, what do you believe under Republic Act 9851? No less than Senior Associate Justice Carpio, who, by the way, is not politically aligned with you or President Marcos Jr., says that under RA 9851, the widespread murder or willful killing of civilians is considered a crime against humanity, and therefore the persons arrested may be brought to court before authorities, so the president can decide to surrender a Filipino citizen. What do you make, Senator, of RA 9851?
Yes, mahabang diskusyon namin yan sa hearing, and we also involved further experts such as Justice Ascuna, who was part and parcel of the framing of the Constitution. In addition, we also had legal consultants, we had attorneys and constitutional lawyers. Ang dinidiscuss namin yung 9851, particularly Section 17. There's no dispute regarding crimes against humanity, but the dispute revolved around surrender versus extradition. They were claiming that it was surrender. The Secretary of Justice indicated that it was surrender, when in fact the reference in the Interpol sheet was to extradition. Extradition, as we know, has just been ruled upon in a very critical case last year, yung immigration versus UNLE. Ang dami-daming kondisyon. Mga 8 yata yun na kinakailangan may hatol galing sa local court and so on. And in fact, the surrender that government was claiming is limited only to foreigners. So dapat hindi ginawang surrender katulad ng nangyari kay
But is that right,
dahil maliwanag naman na Pilipino siya, kaya hindi dapat sinusurrender ang isang Pilipino.
Okay, but Senator, does RA 9851 state that it's only for foreigners? It doesn't state right here that it's only for foreigners.
Yes, what happened apparently when you investigate the records and the transcript, na tanggal yung surrender of foreigners. But it's very, very clear in the original draft. It's also there in the discussions. And for some mistake, there's been a failure to include the fact that surrender refers to foreigners. I think this is also constitutionally mandated because Filipinos do have a right guaranteed by the Constitution to live in their own homeland. Yung extradition, kapag magpapalayas ka, napakadaming kondisyon eh. Kaya kinakailangan siguro yun na, yung in aid of legislation. While we have to give the constitutional mandate to the ombudsman to punish and investigate erring public officials, the Senate and the Congress can actually amend 9851 so that it's clearer. In fact, the extradition law in the Philippines was written by my dad, so I think I typed it up because I remember it quite clearly, and it's very, very old as well.
Okay, so Senator, to leave this particular topic, clearly it wasn't extradition, pero naniniwala po kayo lumampas sa kapangyarihan ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. ang ginawa niya ng pagbigay, pag-surrender kay dating Pangulong Duterte sa The Hague. Nilabag po niya ang batas.
Hindi maliwanag kung sino ang nag-order. Tinatanong nga namin pero sabi nila executive privilege. Tapos nung bandang huli ang sinabi si Secretary of Justice, si Boyeng Remulla, sabi niya siya daw nag-order. So hindi po maliwanag kaya nahihirapan ako and I'm having a difficult time deriving witnesses because subpoenas have not been signed. Not a single one has been signed by the Senate President. And even the single person we held in contempt. First time ko mag-contempt, hindi ako mahilig niyan eh, ay rinilis ka agad-agad. So sabi ko sa ombudsman na lang tayo umasa pagkat hinaharang itong investigasyon. Mukhang ayaw na ayaw nilang mabuko at mailabas ang katotohanan. Pero natuwa naman ako sa ombudsman kasi ang issue ay talagang umaksyon agad at hindi nasayang yung panahon ng lahat. Ipinalagay kong nakita ng ombudsman ang kasinungalingan at mga butas sa testimonya at kilos na lumitaw sa tatlong pagdinig ng Senate Committee.
Pero Senator, President Marcos Jr. had a press conference right after the surrender. And he said the government had no choice but to cooperate with the Interpol, which means essentially he gave the go signal or he ordered, but clearly he agreed to the surrender. Kasi nag-press con po siya eh. So,
yes, I'm aware of that. Narinig ko nga na may obligasyon ng Pilipinas at siguro yun ang pagkasabi sa kanila ng mga advisor at maliwanag naman na ang Pilipinas ay hindi nasakop ng ICC. This is way, way too late as recently underscored by the defense attorneys also at the ICC of President Duterte. At the same time, it's very, very clear that the Interpol was merely forwarding an email, a request for information to the Republic of the Philippines, and that in fact President Duterte is not in any way wanted by the Interpol. As a matter of fact, those who are familiar with the Interpol are very clear that no red warrant was sent out. In fact, it was only a diffusion order because it was political or suspiciously so, which would be against the Constitution of the Interpol in Section 3, Article 3, ang liwaliwanag. Kapag politika, ayaw nila sumali.
Oo. So, ganito, Senator, ang tanong ng marami, why would Senator Amy Marcos go as far to defend the Dutertes, to stand by the Dutertes, no, over your own brother? You've been quoted as saying, Senator Amy Marcos has said, I cannot bear what was done to President Duterte. And yet, ang tanong ng ilan, what about the Vice President threatening to have your brother assassinated? Or the Vice President threatening to throw your father's remains in the West Philippine Sea? So, people are confused. Bakit siya kumakampi sa hindi niya kamag-anak, kapatid niya, at ang kapatid niya na namumuno ngayon ng bansa, bakit niya inaaway?
Ako, Karen,
ang sagot doon, Senator.
Hindi mo ako magagawang defensive kasi wala akong kasalanan at wala akong ipagtatanggol sa ginawa ko. Eto, wala itong kinalaman sa Marcos o Duterte. Sabihin ko ang totoo, ito ay soberanya ng Pilipinas. Hindi ko matanggap I cannot accept what happened. It was clearly a challenge and an insult to our sovereignty, to the functioning courts and our exemplary judges. And I cannot accept that this was the right thing to do. It had very, very little to do with being a Marcos versus the Dutertes. Kinakampihan, sabi mo. Para sa akin, wala akong kinakampihan. Kinakampihan ko ang Pilipinas. Dahil hindi tama ang nangyari. On a personal note, ang nakita ko lamang ang nangyari sa tatay ko. Ganyan na ganyan din ang ginawa sa ama ko, tinangay ang aking pamilya, dinala sa Hawaii, at para sa akin hindi katanggap-tanggap yun. Like President Duterte, my father announced time and again that he was prepared to face any Philippine court, but not a foreign court, given that all the alleged crimes and offenses were committed in Philippine territory against Filipino citizens. Ano naman ang pakialam ng dayuhan sa ating usapin? Nakita naman natin lahat ng tinangay na mga testigo, ang dokumento, lahat ng deposition nanggaling sa Pilipinas at dinanga sa The Hague. Bakit hindi na lang natin ginawa dito? May nagsabi nga sa akin imported na nga yung rice, imported pa yung hustisya. Ano ba nangyayari sa bansa natin? Wala na ba ang Pilipinas?
Okay, but then Senator, you also have Duterte's crimes against humanity.
We are not denying. I am not in any way judging, denying. I'm not standing as his attorney. I have no doubt that there are actions that need to be answered for. But to my mind, given that the accused is Filipino, that the victims were Filipino, all the alleged crimes were committed in the territory of the Philippines, bakit hindi na lang dito? Kaya naman natin yan kung ano-ano na ang nangyari dito sa atin, bansa, na alam naman natin ang ampatuan, ang mamasapano, ang kung ano-ano na talagang kinakailangan panagutan. At nakita naman natin, nakinaya naman ang husgado natin yan. Bakit naman ito? Takot na takot tayo. Baka kaduwagan na imbes na dito sa Pilipinas, kinakabahan, kaya walang visa muna yung ating judiciary at tinangay sa ibang bansa. Hindi naman maganda yon. Ayoko naman na sabihin na wala nang pakinabang dito. Isara na natin lahat ng korte.
Okay.
So, para sa akin, wala ito sa pamilya At pinipilit nila na pumanig ako sa kaapelyido ko o pumapanig sa mga kaibigan ko. Walang ganun Para sa akin, ang tama ay tama, ang mali ay mali.
Okay.
So, paglaban ng tama, itama ang mali. Sorry na lang, magtiisa na lang tayo dyan.
Alright, Senator, sinabi niyo ilaban ang tama, ang mali ay mali. And yet, you have Vice President Sara Duterte endorsing you. And the sitting Vice President, frankly speaking, refuses to answer or to account for how she spent confidential funds. She has names in her confidential funds like Mary Grace Piatos. I mean, pagkain na yung maraming nakapirma doon sa mga resibo. Pera po ng bayan yun. So ang tanong rin ng marami on social media, why would you tolerate the Vice President refusing to hold herself into account, and here you are defending her and having your hand, kumbaga inendorso ka po pa niya. Don't you think she should answer?
I don't know when I defended her. Hindi ako nagtatanggol sa kanya tungkol dito sa kung ano-anong allegation tungkol sa confidential funds. First of all, hindi ako pwede mag-comment dyan kasi kung sakasakali, itutuloy na yan at manalo ako, magiging huwes ako dyan. So I'm unable to comment on that. And I certainly haven't defended her. Dahil I think she's more than competent to defend herself. She has a whole slew of lawyers all set to go. And I think we will have to hear the evidence when it finally reaches the Senate, and if I do finally reach the Senate.
Okay. Now, Senator, it hasn't been easy for the Marcos family to come back into public office, right? It was very hard for your family. So you have many wondering, now that your brother is president, you are a re-electionist as a senator, and you are a performing senator. Why would this be the time that you and your brother are not united to essentially rebuild the legacy of your father, right? To change, in effect, even the memory of your father's administration. The 6 years could have been spent rebuilding, remaking, changing the country. Why?
But that's not what happened, Karen. That's precisely the problem. Ipinaglaban namin ng 36 years. It's been a very, very long and arduous climb back into legitimacy and not necessarily power, but more importantly, political acceptance. Apakahaba ng panahon, dekada-dekada, halos 4 na dekadong pinaglaban to. At talagang inasahan ko na mababalik ang pangalan. Sabi ko nga, napakaswerte namin. Nagkaroon ng second chance. At talagang inaasahan ko na magkakaroon ng pagbangon ng aming pamilya. Pero ang nangyari ay ibang-iba, kaya nalugmok kami lahat. At hindi lang naman itong pagkakataon na to. Marami kasing mga bumubulong sa kapatid ko, malayong-malayo na ako, tinataboy kami, hinaharang kami, hindi na ako nakapag-usap. Ang totoo, I've never fought with him, hindi naman kami nag-away kahit kailan. At hindi naman kami nagsagutan. Ang mahirap, yung mga nasa paligid. Hindi ko sinasabi sa paligid lang ng kapatid ko, kundi siguro doon din sa paligid ng kabila, nagbabanata, nagbabardagulan. But certainly, this was not the Marcos administration that we expected. At napakadaming disappointed. Unang-unang ating mga magsasaka. They really felt that there would be a renaissance in farming, instead of which there's been a massive glut in importation, smuggling, and the increasing dependence on imported food. So this is really unacceptable and, as it were, very un-Marcos. Ang expectations ng 31 million, ibang-iba, that there will be infrastructure, for example, pero nauwi lahat ng infrastructure sa sangkatutak na ayuda, na yung pala mauuwian ay puro palakasan kung sino ang magaling, at higit sa lahat i-release sa panahon ng eleksyon. Hindi ito ang pinaglaban namin. At may mga Ilocano nga na mga loyalist na nagsasabi, alam niyo ma'am, inapi kami. Which is true, inapi kami after 1986, maraming natanggal sa trabaho, nasisante ang mga military, tinanggal ang hanap buhay nila. Kahirap-hirap, basta sabihin mo taga Ilocos ka, taga Leyte ka, talagang mahihirapan ka. Ngayon, sabi niya, pinaglaban ba natin para apihin din ang mga Dabawenyo? Hindi na maugali natin yan mag-api. Huwag naman natin ulitin kasi yung siklo hindi na matatapos. I agree with him. This highly toxic and dangerous cycle of political vindictiveness is very, very sad. It's tragic for our republic.
But then one would think it starts with your family, right? When you talk about political vindictiveness with the Marcos and Duterte, the public is asking, bakit sila hindi nag-uusap? 'Di ba? Senador ang kapatid, presidente ang kapatid.
Sinabi ko nga. Sinabi ko nga. Yeah, sorry. I said earlier, maraming naghaharang, maraming ambisyoso. When I was very young, sinabi ko na very controversially, sinabi ko that the palace is a snake pit. I think I was all of 15 years old and just shooting off the mouth. And certainly, yung palasyo ngayon is no different. Lumala lang siguro, dumami pa yung ahas, yung mga lulong. kung sino-sino nandyan, it's become a struggle for power, and many, many ambitious people are auditioning for the presidency in 2028. Eh sabi ko nga sa kanila, hindi ba pwedeng patapusin muna yung kapatid ko ng maayos? Wag naman kayo masyadong nagmamadali. Eh, yun lang ang pakiwari ko. Medyo na harang na ako, malayo-layo na ako. Hindi ko mapagsabihan, but this hasn't only happened now. I've had many problems with a great number of policies. Among them, yung pagpasok sa RCEP, which I felt should have been a trade deal with our agricultural sector. Eh wala naman nangyari. Ano ba naman? Yung mga nakinabang olive oil. Meron bang ganun sa Pilipinas? Napatawa naman ako. Tapos yung Maharlika, ano ba yon? Sabi nung iba, vanity project. You only do that when there's a whole windfall from an oil exploration, perhaps nung time ng Malampaya. Eh ngayon, yung ating mga bangko, it's not the way to do it. Igagouge mo yung DBP at Land Bank. Mahirap yun eh. Dapat talaga asikasuhin muna yung problema ng bansa. Yung tutok sa presyo, disenteng trabaho, yung mga ospital na talaga naman, anong sabi? Mona Lisa daw, you just lie there and you die there. Huwag naman ganon. So tutukan natin ang tunay na problema at maghanap ng may solusyon.
Pero Senator, with everything you mentioned, it seems you are unsatisfied with President Marcos Jr.'s leadership because you cited specific examples where the president could have acted. So you are not satisfied with how he's running the country.
Well, I'm not here to criticize the president, and certainly I'm very familiar with some of the policies. Being in the Senate, trabaho lang, nalalaman ko. Pag nakita ko, nung umpisa, tinetext ko siya, sinasabihan ko, pero mukhang ayaw na ayaw ng iba na makialam, kaya lumalayo na rin ako. Pero napipilitan ako when there are things such as the clear use of the GAA 2025, the budget. I was obliged to stand. It's absurd for us to sign in blank massive amounts being given in an election year in terms of ayuda. Hindi naman katanggap-tanggap yon. Tapos ito nga, yung pagtangay kay Presidente Duterte, parang nakita ko yung tatay ko eh. Sabi ko, galit tayo nun, bakit tayo ngayon ang panimuno? Wag naman ganun, hindi yata tama. Kaya't I think we should learn our lesson and not repeat this hideous and tragic cycle.
Okay, so learn our lesson. You've said that, no? You talked about the budget. It's been brought before the Supreme Court, a petition questioning essentially the budget, those alleged blanks in the budget, right?
Oh, they're not alleged. I saw them. That's why I never signed the BICAM.
Okay, so they're not alleged, they're blank. So if this has passed, the issue is why is the president tolerating the speaker? That's the question. Why is the president, why is the administration tolerating?
I have no idea. I think you'll have to ask him that yourself.
Okay, but why do you think?
I can't gainsay a guess. I can simply say that perhaps there are those who give him the wrong information, perhaps, and there aren't enough of those who are more critical or perhaps more prudent in all these actions. So, marunong naman yung kapatid ko, kaya lang, eto nga, napapagbigyan yung mga masyadong ambisyoso, yung mga lulong sa kapangyarihan, lulong sa kadatungan, sabi nga nila, ayaw na ayaw ko yun hindi mabuti yan at hindi nakakatulong. Pag nag-aaway-away kasi ang politiko, so palagay mo, may umayaman ba? May gumiginhawa ba sa mahihirap? Palagay ko, wala Kaya't mas maigi, tutukan na natin ang problema ng bansa. Tigilan na itong politikang napakawalang kwenta. Sa totoo lang, nakalimutan ko na yung kampanya ko dahil natuto Tumutok na nga ako dito sa ICC and the investigations and so many problems. The overseas Filipinos, for example, are all complaining about the online voting na napaka-hackable daw, hindi daw nila makita kung sino binoto nila. Ang daming nagre-reklamo, ang dami pang nagre-reklamo dyan sa ayuda na yan. Kasi bilyon-bilyon na nagagastos, hindi naman napupunta sa tunay na nangangailangan, kundi napupunta sa mga political coordinator daw. Naku, ano ba naman yan? Sayang na sayang ang pera. It's not like we had so much around and that we had no infrastructure, internet, we have so many needs, and it's just going to the wrong purpose.
Okay. All right. You're quite clear with your issues. In the Senate, you're known as a performer as well. I mean, I've spoken with your colleagues, whether or not they are with you in party or independent. They say you are a performer, and you know that as well. You have the agricultural sector also supporting you.
Well, ang dami-dami kong committee. Tinambak sa akin lahat ng committee. Ako lang yata yung ganun kadaming committee. 5 ang committee ko, plus meron pa akong vice chair sa finance. So, parati akong busy at ngarag na ngarag. So, I have the electoral reform, foreign relations, cooperatives. Ikot ako ng ikot. Tinitignan yung mga co-op sa agriculture. Apakarami kong trabaho. Nakakaloka, actually.
So, Senator...
And, unfortunately, one of my committees is the Social Welfare Committee, where the ACAP and its most pernicious and notorious permutations lie. Hindi tumusot sa committee namin, biglang sumulpot sa BICAM, nagulat na lang kaming lahat.
Yeah, well, that's a given. I mean, I've tweeted about that too. ACAP is clearly questionable in all its essence, right? But this is my point is, given you are a performer, isa kayo sa mga senador na sinasabing you know what you're talking about is you're ranking very low in the surveys. And let's talk about this. You have experts saying there's an Amy Marcos identity crisis. That's a quote from one of the analysts. We're in.
Yes, I think I read it. Or at least I saw the title.
Okay.
But I don't have much time to look at surveys right now.
Yeah.
And napakaraming survey at nakakapagod na nga basahin. Pag umiikot ka naman, nararamdaman mo Alam na alam mo. Unang-una, talagang may problema ang administrasyon. It's very, very clear that the approval ratings of the administration are very, very bad, no? Napakababa dahil syempre, pag mataas ang bilihin, walang masyadong trabaho, talagang walang happy, ano? At dahil sa apelyido ko, Marcos rin ako, damay-damay talaga ako. Unfortunately, magkabila ang damay ko, collateral damage ako kapag nasisira yung administration. Tapos, binabanatan rin ako pag may Duterte issue kasi sinasabing kumakampi ako. Ang totoo, wala akong kinakampihan. Pag mali talaga, ayoko. Ganun lang yon. Manang ako Di ba? Pinapalo ka ng manang mo pag
pero
mali.
Senator, kung mali talaga, ayaw nyo, pero you've never spoken about the wrongdoings of former President Duterte. You've also never spoken about that.
I'm not. That's not true. I don't think that's right. I've said time and again that President Duterte should be heard here in the Philippines for the crimes that are alleged. Hindi ko sinasabi na inosente siya. Hindi naman ako baliw. Siya mismo na ina-admit nga niya Ano pang pag-uusapan niyan? Pag yung tao mismo sinasabi, ginawa niya talaga.
No, pero what I'm trying to say is...
one thing with the surveys is that clearly the administration's disapproval ratings are impinging on me. That's very clear. Marcos pa rin apelyido namin pare-pareho lang kami. Ikalawa, yung problema na identity crisis, maraming ang hindi maniwala. Baka political stunt lang itong sa Duterte. Pero para sa akin, masyado kong nararamdaman ang ama ko, yung tinangay sa abroad. Nangyari na sa amin Kaya ang lalim ng hugot ko.
Oh. Okay. So wait, I'll finish my thoughts. So you're saying that essentially because the Marcos administration's ratings are so low, it's affecting you right now.
Siyempre naman. Isa lang naman
because you are a Marcos.
Oo naman.
Okay, but then why are some of those in Alianza rating high?
Marami. Hindi naman sila ka-apelyido. They're not being punished in the same way that I am. And many of them have stayed out of the fray, which is the rule for senatorial candidates. Kapag tatakbo kang senador, stay quiet, stay sweet, and stay clean, no? Ang problema, nasabak ako sa sangkatutak na away, hindi ko maakalain na magkakaganito. And of course, yung identity crisis, syempre nakakalito dahil pinagtatanggol ko nga ang karapatan ni Presidente Duterte. Tulad ng ipagtatanggol ko lahat ng karapatan ng sino mang Pilipino. I think that will go across the board. I'm very, very worried. For example, for the over 1,100 OFWs na na-convict at na-preso sa ibang lugar. Lahat sila nagte-text, yung mga kamag-anak, sabi, paano to? Hindi na kami makakauwi. Kung yung presidente tinangay dyan, kami pa.
No, Senator, okay, but let's not go to that. Two things here. You talked about standing up.
Why not po?
I mean,
Why not po? I think we're very, very concerned about our OFW. If you're not safe in your own country, paano na lang sila nasa ibang bansa?
Okay. Now, you said about speaking for what's right? And you said this isn't about politics. You talked about speaking for what is right. But during the time of former President Duterte, when there were accusations against Senator Laila De Lima, for example, and look at it now, Laila De Lima was detained for 6-7 years. All the witnesses recanted. It turned out they were bogus. You didn't stand up for that. You were silent. You were with Duterte.
During the Laila De Lima, hindi pa ako senador. Senador na ba ako?
2019.
2016.
Yeah.
Wala pa ako nun
But 2019, you were number 8. You became a senator, yes. I mean,
pero wala pang Laila De Lima. Wala na si Senator De Lima noon.
Yes, nakakulong na siya.
Ang maliwanag, if you would look into the records of the Senate, I really stood up time and time again about the agricultural imports, particularly with regard to rice and the rice tariffication. I think I also participated in the Farmally and the other investigations on COVID overspending and corruption. I was always there. I don't think that it can be said that I stood by and watched just because President Duterte was in power. Let's not be absurd. I think my father said long ago that I was a born rebel. I was one of nature's rebels, sadly. And I can't accept it on face value. I have to ask. So even during the time of my dad, nagtatanong ako, matagal na to yung issue ng soberanya ng Pilipinas, masyado kong dinidibdib. Noong nagkakaroon ng renegotiation, the military-based renegotiation with the Philippines and the U.S., together with the rest of the Kabataang Barangay, the ancient SK, nagrarally po kami sa harap ng U.S. Embassy. Matagal nang ayokong ganito And yung tatay ko, galit na galit, pero I'm not one to stand by and watch. It's never happened, whether with President Duterte, my father, talagang mulat sa pool, ganyan na ako Kaya sabi ko nga sa kanila, magtiisan tayo, pero tatayo ako pag mali na
Okay, so when it comes to the alleged identity crisis, itong supposed identity crisis, I saw numbers in Mindanao, and you are not in the top 12 in Mindanao, which is ironic because it's a Duterte bailiwick. Do you believe that you will get the Duterte votes because of what you have stood for? Because it seems that the Duterte votes are all with Bongo, Bato de la Rosa, and the irony are Philip Salvador, Jimmy Bontoc, personalities that, they're not re-electionists, but they're faring well in Mindanao. Bakit ganon, Senator? Why do you think are you not faring well in Mindanao?
Because I'm a Marcos. And that's very, very clear. It's very sad what's happened to our country. They have successfully split the country in half, making Luzon, to speak very broadly and generally, Luzon is anti-Duterte, Vismin is anti-Marcos. Ang sagwa nangyari parati nating inoobserbahan yung US, sa ibang bansa, very polarized. It's come to pass. It's here as well. It's very, very sad. On the other hand, to respond to to your question, ang totoo, like I said earlier, wala itong kinalaman sa politika. Wala akong ginagawa bilang political stunt para magpapogi, para maging popular, para makakuha ng sangkatutak ng endorsement. Talagang tumatayo lamang dahil hindi ko matanggap itong pagdagok sa ating batas, sa ating saligang batas, sa ating soberanya.
Okay. Now, Senator, midterm elections are usually the president's elections. During the time of Duterte, by command votes, Bongo became number 3. He was a virtual unknown. Wouldn't this have been the time for you, honestly, to rank high in the Senate? And my next question is, do you believe this administration will make efforts to make sure you don't win? You don't get into the Magic 12?
Ay, si Bongo, mas lalong tumaas pa eh. Kung sinasabi mo number 3 siya noon, it's very clear he's running away at number 1 in a Marcos administration. So there's clearly some level of a protest vote. And like you said, even those who are not big celebrities in the national stage are suddenly ranking. And I believe that in Bismin, unfortunately, there will be some kind of protest vote against the administration. Whether I'm included or not, we will have to see. But I'm certainly not doing what I'm doing for politics. In fact, like you said very clearly, I'm not doing very well. But I think things are becoming clearer and clearer to our population at naintindihan na nila kung ano ang nangyayari at anong ginagawa. So, andyan, tignan natin kung anong mangyayari. Kung may plot, ika nga, may conspiracy, marami ako nababalitaan na there have been many people approaching us allegedly from the election office, allegedly from the operators, saying, in fact, some local government officials, saying that the palace has requested or perhaps stated that we shouldn't win. And those are Senator Camille Villar, myself, and Congressman Marcoleta. Ilang beses ko na yan naririnig, hindi ko na masyadong pinapansin. Ang akin na lamang, magtrabaho na lamang tayo, mahirap na maging praning. Praning na ako sa dami ng pangyayari. Kaya mas maigi, tumutok na lang, trabaho na lang, kayod na lang. Kung house to house lang ang kaya, hindi house to house. Kung market tour, edi market tour, tiisan na lang.
But so you believe that there will be a move? It is possible to make sure you don't...
Marami akong naririnig. Hindi ko alam kung totoo o hindi. May mga algorithm pa daw sa COMELEC. Hindi ko na naririnig at naintindihan. Like I said, I'm the chairperson and this is an untested, brand new company. Miru, ano? Di pa natin nagagamit yan. All these years, we've been using Smartmatic and galit na galit tayo kasi Smart Magic. O ayan, ngayon, Miru. Hindi natin alam. We've never tried it before. And hopefully, things work out better than they did in the past.
Okay, so we don't have enough time. But Senator Amy Marcos, why should people vote for you again? Why should voters have Senator Amy Marcos in the Senate again?
First, because I think I have a track record, not only as a senator, but even my time as governor, as congressman. I started in the barangay. I made my way up through the ranks of public service. I have a track record. I've been able to get the agrarian reform beneficiaries finally unburdened of their huge billion debt for the past decade, for the past 5 decades. At sa wakas, nabigyan na sila ng titulo. Ngayon, tulungan natin ang mga magsasaka. Ako'y talagang nagtatrabaho para sa mga kabataan. I think I have a Young Creatives Challenge, Young Farmers Challenge. I have projects for computers and IT. I also am very, very concerned that specialist hospitals be brought to the region. So my track record, I think, is defensible. And also, I think at the end of the day, the question of public service is really one of integrity, of courage, of principle. So kahit marami kang track record, marami kang kwalifikasyon, marami kang fans. Ang totoo, character pa rin ang mamumuno. Sino ang tatayo at lalabanan ang mali kahit masakit na, kahit may nasasaktan na, kahit malapit sa'yo. Siguro iilan lang tayo na tatayo at makikipaglaban. Pero para sa akin, mas mahalaga ang Pilipino sa nangingibabaw sa lahat.
Okay, now Senator, if you win, you win. But what if you don't win? What will happen? What are your plans?
Politics is not the most important thing in the world. I'm not very, very ambitious. The intended career path was actually in the creative industries if I had the choice. So it's not the end of the world. I'm a very, very busy, curious, and productive person, I believe. Parati akong maraming project kahit papano. But the concept, the possibility of losing is not in the mind of any candidate. It's certainly not in mine.
All right. Senator, thank you.
Walang balak for the win po to, kahit nangangarag, kahit hirap, kahit ano-ano pa ang sinasabi ng survey, tayo ay mangingibabaw sa awa ng Panginoon.
All right. Anything you want to add before we go? You know, at the end of the day, this is a Marcos. This whole 6 years is really, it's very historical with Marcos getting back into power. What is your message to your brother? Because I'm sure you've seen families who have infighting suffer politically. You've seen how it affected the Binays, right? You've seen that. The Binays, the infighting with the family. What is your message to your brother looking at the bigger picture of your father's legacy and this administration?
Nakakatawa nga yung tanong I find the question a little bit curious because in fact, hindi naman kami nag-aaway na magkapatid. Wala naman aaway sa pamilya.
Hindi lang kayo nag-uusap. Hindi lang kayo nag-uusap.
Kasi parati naman maraming humaharang, nahihirapan na tayo, maraming nangingibabaw, maraming nakikialam. So, okay lang, hindi na siya nakikinig sa kanyang manang. Pinagbilin kasi yan ng tatay ko. Parati sinasabi ng tatay ko, alalayan mo yan, abangan mo yan. So, hindi ko na nagagampanan. Pero there are still 3 years. There is still a great deal to be done. And I hope we do honor to our father's legacy. Yun lang naman.
Are you hopeful, Senator Marcos, that in the next 3 years, you would be able to work together, dialogue with your brother, build what you had both envisioned together?
Well, we always remain hopeful. I think that's what we're here for.
Okay. On that note, I want to thank you for joining me today and good luck to you, Senator Amy Marcos. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Yes, maraming salamat at sa inyong lahat, konting commercial, sulit senador, matapang at masipag. Talaga naman, sulit senador, 39 pesos only. Huwag ninyong kakalimutan, number 39 sa balota. Ay, may solusyon. Amy Marcos po, maraming salamat, Karen Davila at sa lahat na nakikinig.
All right, thank you so much, Senator Amy Marcos.